Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. It's another 24 hours of your transfer news, views, and clues madness. Another 24 hours, just about, have passed since the last time we spoke. And more shenanigans are afoot. More financial, interesting stories are emerging. We're going to bring them in later on in the show. We got all of the latest and greatest of things that are happening from around the world of European football and global football. And I'm here, of course, with my man, Jonny H. 3232. Before I come to him and ask him how he's doing, I've got to ask you guys, first of all, how are you? Let us know in the chat. But second of all, do the thing that you do fantastically well on this channel. We couldn't be more grateful for your support. Smash the granny out of the like button. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Notification bell buttons should be pushed because we can pop up at any particular point during the day. And make sure you keep those comments flowing throughout the show. And if you are new here, then please let us know where you're from and who you support so we can get to know you on the growth of this bad boy. Jonny, how the devil are you, mate? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Thankfully, the sun's just gone out, giving us a bit of respite. It's going to be a blistering Aussie 32 degrees in London. The temperatures are rising, and so is the temperature in the transfer market. But, we need action. We need action. And I just want to thank all of you here, because when we talk about action, the support and that we've receiving for this new channel is insane. Really, for a channel we've literally just started, the like game, the subscribe game is fantastic. And the more you give us, the more we'll give you. And this channel is only going to be growing and giving you lots more content. We've got lots of things planned for the summer. More than just transfer news, because that can only last so long. Right, Sean?
100%. Yeah, we've got loads of ideas coming in. We're going to be bringing in experts in football finance. We're going to be bringing experts in football medical, in football agency, hopefully as well. And so that we get to be able to ask some questions that are passionate topics to Jonny and I, and be able to hopefully get some answers to things around how the mechanics of these different areas of the game work that most people probably as fans don't know, yet get frustrated by the outcomes, the patience that's required, and the kind of sometimes the failure to see expedited results. Well, maybe there's reasons and like how and why those things happen. And so we're going to bring on as many people as we can to go into a range of different topics.
Hello to everyone. Things as well. Yeah, and hello, good morning or good evening to those probably in Australia. Afternoon to most of us, whether it's good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Darren's right. Punctuality is everything.
The little slide dig at the Spurs talk show there. It's always about 8 minutes late. Love that, Darren. Jonny, let's start, mate. And Brentford and Mbeumo. Like, we all think it's done, right? We all think it's done. We saw the news, and it probably is done, to be entirely honest. But it's not done yet, because Brentford have rejected another bid from Manchester United for Brentford and Mbeumo this morning. According to Graham Bailey, sources have confirmed that talks are ongoing between the two clubs, and the expectation is that the deal is not far away. And Mbeumo is ready to undergo his medical. But at what point does he become too expensive for Manchester United? Is there a chance? Is there any sniff at all that Mbeumo doesn't get to be wearing that Red Devil shirt by August the 15th?
Listen, at the end of the day, Man United, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And unfortunately, when you're paying 70 plus million for Højlund, 70 plus million for Jadon Sancho, who hasn't delivered, you can't be expecting to come to Brentford and ask to pay 55 or 60 million pounds for a guy who's delivered the way Mbeumo has delivered. It's as simple as that. You just can't. So big up to Brentford. You want the deal. They want 70 million or 65 plus 10 add-ons. And if you don't pay it, you're not going to get it. And it's as simple as that. And you're quite right within their rights to demand it. And, Man United, pay up. Quite where Man United are going to get the money from, I'm not quite sure, because, as we heard, Jim Ratcliffe had to put a whole load of money in because they were on the verge of, having severe financial problems. So they got rid of 480 members of staff. They culled this. They got rid of chips and sauce on the menus. They got rid of staff meals, only to go and spend potentially 140 million on two players, 120, 130 million on Cunha and Mbeumo. I think the deal will be done. from what I'm told about Bryan Mbeumo, he's a very intelligent guy. He's not an idiot. Apparently, he plays the violin, or he's learning to play the violin. Sometimes the perception of players isn't quite what we think.
Maybe you play Tottenham like a fiddle, mate, to get Man United to pay a little bit more in his salary. 100%. You know.
Listen, Brentford deserve what they. Brentford are after. I forgot his name now. This wonder kid. I'll have to try and remember his name now. So many names to remember. But listen,
it'd be nice for Brentford to get 70 million quid for a player. Like, you know, they're a team that does so much in the way of doing it, you know, in their own kind of. Well, it's not unique in as much as it's very similar templated to the owner Matthew Benham's ex-best mate, now mortal enemy, Bloom at Brighton. Very similar template, but it's a really interesting way of approaching football. Two very well-run clubs. Brighton have had the beneficiaries or been the beneficiaries of a couple of monster sales in the last couple of years. £100 million for Caicedo. Well, they get 50 for Lavia, was it in the end? I'm sure they got more to come. It's nice to see Brentford get one as well that's up there at the top end of the market, because, you know, the reward for the hard work that is going out there and finding, you know, scalping gem mining in the world of football. It's not easy to do, especially when everyone has access to the same data. They were groundbreakers to a degree in the British system, at least, to use that Moneyball method. And it's nice to see them come to the party with if they do get a £70 million plus accepted offer for one of their gems. It probably makes them feel like it's recognition for the graph that is, how do you become competitive and maintain your position in the Premier League when you don't have the money that the guys at the top do, and you have to do it a different way. And it wasn't that long ago, Johnny, that they were in League One. Right, like they come through the ranks together as a unit, as an outfit. They've done so well over there, haven't they?
Yeah, Benham's done a fantastic job. And listen, they're a very, very well-run club, and you know, I really like them. Look, I followed Thomas Frank now for a number of years, due to my friend who had a player there, and I never thought he would come to Spurs, but I've always been a huge admirer. And what you're going to see with Thomas Frank is a player that adapts and changes tactics on a regular basis in game as well. I just would like to see Brentford really not get too destabilised, but I wonder how destabilised there will be. You know, will Visser now start being, you know, wanting to leave now because of it? Will Potter... I keep forgetting his name now. Potter, something
Lewis
Potter.
Keen Lewis Potter. Lewis Potter Keen.
Yeah.
Keen Lewis Potter. Whichever way around it is.
Yeah, he's a very good player. And what I'm saying is, and Will Visser, will they be, you know, now be thinking, look, Norgard's gone, the manager's gone, Cochrane's gone,
Damsgaard might be going.
You know, and Damsgaard's a bit. Will the whole thing fall apart? Or will they be able to fill in with the right recruits?
Do you think that they're? Do you? I know you mentioned this on a couple of shows ago. You know, I think I said, look, Bournemouth. We both said Bournemouth are getting ransacked, right? But there's probably too much there, and the gap between them and the bottom 3 or 2 that are coming up. Maybe Leeds can escape out. Maybe there's one team that will fall into jeopardy. Probably not going to be Bournemouth, but it'll be interesting to see how they spend all the money that they're bringing in. Brentford, I think you suggested, might be under a little bit of duress if they do lose a couple of their players. Do you not think if Bournemouth can find the next gem, do you not think Brentford maybe can as well?
Well, they've got this kid. I have to try and remember his name now. He's a wonderful.
Where's when you need him?
You know, I can't remember his bloody name. I'll have to look. I'll look it up.
Sorry, it's no problem. But either way, I guess maybe the added variable for Brentford's jeopardy is the fact that they're going to have a new manager as well, right? They're not only are they going to lose a few of their players, but they're also starting again with a new manager, and they've also lost a lot of their coaching staff to Tottenham. So there's a lot of change at Brentford, and you really hope that they can avoid major disruption, right?
Yeah, listen, look, I just think that, you know, they're not a club. They're a club that most neutral fans look at and say, I like what they're doing. You know, they've got no animosity to them. You know, they come, they entertain. And, you know, the manager, the fan group, the whole atmosphere at the club, is great, right? No animosity to them at all. And they've done a very good job sustaining them in the Premier League. I just think that, is this a step too far? Look, we saw Brighton. We saw when they sold Cucurella and all the other players. I mean, I think Chelsea spent over £200 million with Brighton recruiting their players, and that's just one club.
Yeah.
Now they're getting to the stage you're thinking, well, when does it stop? And now we look at, Brighton again, looking at selling Joao Pedro. They'll probably sell him. They won't ask for any less. They won't accept any less than about 65 million for him. But Brentford, unless they can recruit really well. Now, listen, look, Andrews is a very, very good former footballer, right? Worked for Sky Sports, and he's gone back in as a set-piece coach. But Thomas Frank cut his teeth in the Championship, okay? This guy, Andrews, is coming in and he's going to have to cut his teeth in the Premier League. It's a whole different ballgame. It's relentless. There's no let-up. Thomas Frank's ground himself down, in the Championship and the press releases and the press conferences and everything. When you come in the Premier League, as Ange Postecoglou found, coming from Celtic and Australia, the pressure is immense. And for a guy who, like Ange, you said, none of this bothers me, right? It did, right? As thick skin, he kept saying, I've got a thick skin, but he didn't have a thick skin because he reacted to the press and he reacted to fans. And Andrew's going to find that very difficult. I hope he does it because I like Brentford as a club, that are battling against the odds against the big boys. But I think I fear it could be dangerous. But like you said, Sean, the teams coming up, I only believe one of them really has the techers really to stay up, and that's Leeds United, already signing up with two centre-back signings to boot.
Well, just interesting. It's a lovely little segue there, mate, because Sunderland have just signed a player for their club record deal, £30 million for Habib Diarra. Is a Senegalese midfielder from Strasbourg, who, funnily enough, aren't Strasbourg owned by Todd Bowley?
Yes, Chelsea. Yeah.
Oh, the incest continues, Johnny. No, I'm only kidding. But no, I mean, Habib Diarra, cracking player, really interesting player, big, strong, strapping, tall, fast. He's got all that kind of minerals in him to be a bit dangerous, and I think it's a nice little move for Sunderland. Record signing for them. It's one of those things. It's a show of intent, a demonstration of ambition, and not a maybe they're throwing their weight behind the idea that they don't want to be a team that comes up and goes back down again. They want to.
Oh no, yeah. Look, the 49ers have come in. The 49ers group have come in. I think what's going to happen is the 49ers, having bought Leeds and having bought Glasgow Rangers. I think what you're going to have here is Glasgow Rangers fans looking at Leeds and Leeds fans looking at Glasgow Rangers. Where's the money going, guys? Where's the money going?
Who's the big dog? Who's the big dog in the pecking order?
Correct. But when you look at it, you can understand that staying in the Premier League is much more cash generative than Rangers coming second or beating Celtic.
Unless they get in the Champions League, though, right?
The Champions League money now is absolutely insane for a club like Rangers or Celtic. I mean, insane. I mean, it's riches that would never be had before. So I think it's definitely helping those smaller clubs. But I think Leeds owners now know that, if they invest in the right way, then they have every chance of staying up. I think they need about 4 or 5 players, if I'm honest. But I would expect to see Leeds do a few loans. Whether or not they would take Manor Solomon back or they would buy Manor Solomon back, that might something that will rear its head later on in the transfer window. If you're just coming in, guys, please hit the like button, guys. It's the button there. As I said, always helps the algorithm, helps us grow. And you guys have been unbelievable.
There's 310 people here right now, which is, we've been going for 15 minutes. It's mad numbers. Yesterday was record numbers for the show for such a small channel. Don't want to hark on about it, guys, but just want to let you know how grateful we are for the attention that you guys have given us early doors. It's it's unusual for a channel this size to have the sort of numbers that we do. So thank you very much, and thank you very much to Andy, the Spurs fan, who has. I like his icon. I can't keep calm. I'm a Spurs fan. Listen, Andy's a Spurs fan, mate. Massive respect for you for becoming a YouTube member, but you have to keep calm a little bit, buddy. My advice to you is to keep calm a little bit, because the meltdown, not that this is a Tottenham show, but the meltdown over the Eze news that isn't really news. There is no news, really. It's a lot of people that are making, or a lot of people that are inferring and insinuating that we've been hijacked and gazumped. None of the big boys are out there talking about Eze going to Arsenal. None of the Romanos or the Ornsteins or Sky Sports are mentioning it. So, it's a lot of hot air. But listen, nothing like a good old-fashioned meltdown, eh, Johnny?
Well, listen, look, I had a couple. Funny enough, I had a couple of my friends call me up yesterday. What? Terms agreed. You got me at it. I was having a meltdown, and then I tuned in and I found out. I said, look, you can't blame me. Look, the press are feeding it. Look, what we're saying is the deal's not done until the deal's done. We said it yesterday. There was the deal that William was coming to Spurs, right? He was there. He was in the ground. He was in the change room. Do you mind? I'll just quickly go to the toilet. I need to go to the loo. Climbed out the window, jumped into his car, and drove off to Chelsea. A deal's never a deal until it's done. I don't know what was the famous deal where he drove down to the training ground.
Odawemi?
Odawemi? Was it Odawemi? Only to find out.
Yeah. He literally drove down waiting out. He wasn't even allowed into the training ground. He was waiting outside in the car park.
I mean, terrible.
Sorry,
terrible.
mate. Get yourself back up to West Brom or wherever it was that he came from. He was like, sorry, you're not coming.
Yeah.
I think
Listen, Paul 123, Ben Jacobs saying we backed off from Eze. I don't believe we backed off from Eze at all. I think we are just as interested as Arsenal, as probably Man City, Man United, clubs in Europe. There's no way you're not interested in him with the 2020, because these other clubs, these other players, they're not going to accept 2020. They want big money up front. Welcome, Sam, Man United fan. If you're in the chat, tell us where you're from and what club you support, because we're growing all the time, and we like to know where everyone's from. Obviously, we've got a lot more Spurs fans here at the moment, but as time goes on, that will change. But Ben Jacobs, look, he needs clicks. He needs views.
No, exactly. I was about to say, mate, listen, I've met Ben Jacobs, right? And I've streamed with him a couple of times on the last one on Spurs. He's a lovely guy who's about as verbose as you and I, Johnny, right? Can turn a question that could be answered in 3 words into, three chapters almost.
Yeah.
If he wasn't a journalist, he should be a streamer talking about the transfer news, views, and clues, because he'd turn a 5-second answer into a 45-minute video. Get that watch time up, Benny boy. But yeah, look, he does get things wrong, but he also gets things right. He's like everybody else, right? Like he's working on information that's not necessarily transparently clear, a lot of opaque stuff. And he's obviously got a job to do as well, right? He's trying to sell clicks. That's the game we're all in. So, you got to find a way to make a bit of noise without giving too much away. We shall see on the Eze stuff. But as I say, guys, I said it in my monologue last night on Spurs Talk Show. Nothing's really happened. Nothing has actually happened, and yet Tottenham fans just can't wait for the next chance to go into crisis mode. We've got a super chat here from Blaine Devlin. Blaine, mate, you're so generous. But listen, not that I want to talk ourselves out of some donations from you, mate, but as you said in a WhatsApp group, keep your money back, bro, because we might need you to sort of be the investor in Tottenham Hotspur. So we can go and afford an Everett Eze occasionally. But thank you very much, Blaine. He says, afternoon, sexy gents. Big up as always. Honest opinions from you both. Why has Tottenham's window been very silent, do you think? Is it Langer operating in shadows or something else? Go on, Johnny. I'll let you go, mate.
Well, look, I think we've got 2 guys operating in 2 different ways. We got Johan Langer, who works at the, he's normally hanging out at football kindergartens, looking at the latest young talent. And then we've got Don Fabio, has a phone, molded into his ear, constantly looking for a deal. And if there is a deal to be done, then I believe he will do it. Let's not forget the deals that were done in the last days of the January transfer window when he first came in, when he bought in a Rodrigo Bentancur and Dejan Kulusevski, and people went, who? Right? They can't even get a game for Juventus, right? And, that was £40 million so well spent, 35 and 17 for Bentancur, which was an absolute bargain. He is the guy. He's the guy that bought us Christian Romero. Okay, he's the guy that's bought us the players, the vast majority of the players who are the backbone of this team now. Destiny Udogie, Papasar, even those two, Papasar and Destiny.
Yeah. He was the guy. I know he's your boy, so you probably won't agree with me here, but he was the guy who signed Richarlison as well, right?
Yeah, but in fairness, Conte wanted Richarlison, so it wasn't. If we're going by that metric, we'd have to say, they wanted Brennan Johnson. So, we ended up paying 47 million. Look, I think
he puts together the ideas, and then maybe other people, maybe veto some of them, maybe Daniel Levy or whoever else,
Listen, look,
don't want him, do want him.
I can tell you one thing. I know who I trust as a football connoisseur who knows football. And that's the Don, right?
The Don and Thomas Frank can work together and do some magical things.
Listen, he's the guy that bought Kulusevski, Bentancur, and Dragusin to Juventus, right? The guy is a talent monster, and who can forget those moments seeing him on the bench when he first arrived at Tottenham?
I just wonder whether he's like, is his skill set primarily limited? I'm not saying it's entirely limited because he did identify Sarr from France, but his home base is Italy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's Italy, but he knows a player, right? I mean, that's the thing. He's black book. It's all about the black book, right? It's all about the black book. And look, every club needs one. I believe Aston Villa have a fantastic one in Moshi at Aston Villa. And that's where Lang came from. He got demoted. Let's not beat around the bush.
Monchi is Monchi needs.
Sorry, Monchi.
Yeah, Monchi needs. He's always worked with big budgets. He's like, you can imagine him doing his thing at a United or doing his thing at a PSG or somewhere like that. And Aston Villa spent a lot of money relative to their size. But now that the kind of purse strings have to be tightened a little bit and get a little bit more creative.
I still think he's good.
Of course, I'm not taking it away. I'm just saying that the context is maybe the environment changes, and now you see what he's going to be like, sink or swim, with a little bit of a different mandate, if that makes sense. And on that note,
Campos is another one.
Louis Campos is sensational.
Campos, right? There are certain director of footballs whose reputation is justified, and Moshi is one of them. And Are you
a Villa fan, CC?
Yeah, he's a Villa fan. He's expat from Toronto. So welcome, CC, into the chat. Lovely to have you. As I say, we're all fans. And hit that like button and subscribe, CC, if you're here for the first time. Lovely to have you. Yeah, no, listen, look, he is a top director of football. And I think, for a smaller club like, Brighton, who have a fantastic CEO down there, and Brentford, is really, really important because you live and die by your recruitment. When you've got endless pots of money like Chelsea, who just buy up everything and just put them in cold storage and pluck one out every now and again, it's fine. But when your survival is at risk, these guys are crucial to you doing so to survive anyway.
100%, mate. We've got another super chat, but before I come to that, just as we're talking about Aston Villa and still somewhat talking about Tottenham, again, don't want to always make this about Tottenham this show, but just they are part of the conversation. Jacob Ramsey is the latest midfielder to be linked with Tottenham this morning. I've got a couple of stories I'll bring up here to show you, to verify we're not just making this stuff up. I hadn't seen it until I saw someone in the chat bring it up. This is from goal.com. Hang on, let me get rid of... how do I get that? Allow ads, that's fine. Oh, what am I doing here?
Is Jacob Ramsey as good as Morgan Rogers? Not for me.
Definitely not. No, definitely not. Well, you're never going to get Morgan Rogers out of Villa.
Exactly.
First, consider £40 million swoop for Jacob Ramsey as Thomas Frank eyes midfield additions this summer, with West Ham also monitoring developments. Mail Sport understands. There you go. That's the link. That's the original. Villa are open to selling Ramsey as he would represent pure profit on their balance sheet against the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules. While Spurs and West Ham are interested in the player, the £40 million price tag might be prohibitively expensive for both clubs. Well, I've also expressed an interest in the player. Look, I'll be honest, mate. I mean, we know the story, and I know where that story is going to go. It's going to talk about FFP and PSR, which we can talk about in a second anyway, because that's where the super chat's going to take me. But Jacob Ramsey, I think he is a top player. I think he's a really, really, really good player. I just don't think he's what we need. I see him more of an 8, bought a box to box, and we already have a few of them, presuming that Tottenham are going to sign Rodrigo Bentancur on a new contract, and you've got Bergvall, and you've got Pape Sarr. You know, I don't think you need that sort of player. You know, there's a lot of arguments of like, do you admire the player? 100%. Do you need him? Do you want him? Yeah, you can want everybody, but if you've only got limited budgets to work with,
it all depends on your budget, Sean. You know, if we've got limited budget, or any club has a limited budget, my issue here is that, you know, Villa need money. I mean, that's it. They desperately need money.
And do you want to be the guy to give it to them? Do you want to help them out?
Well, I just think that they're more likely to sell Bailey, right? Because losing Bailey won't affect their team as much as losing Ramsey. You know, they probably have to lose Martinez and
is Bailey a pure profit for them now, though? How much do they pay for Bailey, and when did they pay?
I remember. Maybe CC can tell us about what Villa paid for Bailey. But I think if they sold Bailey and they sold Martinez, they might get out of their FFP.
Leon Bailey was signed for €32 million in 2021. His contract was extended last year, so they're already into amortization. Like, so they basically stretched it out. So in essence, if you sign someone in 2021 for 32 million on, say, a 4 or 5 year deal, then that would be like 6.5, 7 million quid of amortization. But if you extended it into 2027 on the second contract, then in essence you're amortizing the final part of what's left. Correct. Over the new length of the contract. So basically his amortization, his value on the books is probably down at like 5 million quid or something. So
for them,
I sell it for 40 million quid, then that's a big profit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if they're going to sell one player, Bailey's the one. He does bits. I think
on his day he's brilliant.
Yeah, his day he's brilliant. But I think, you know, if they had to lose one player, Villa, that would be the one. Listen, McGinn, you know, Terrier. What's not to like about McGinn, right? He's just, you know, he's what you love to see as a footballer. Proper Terrier, right at it all the time. But we shall see.
Just Gigs better than Loserpool. Is this a Spurs channel or what? No, it's not a Spurs channel, mate. No. It's an everything football channel. We just go through the transfer news every day and whatever's going on. It just happens to be that we're currently talking about Tottenham because of the transfer link that we're at in the story. Don't worry, we've got a Manchester United transfer story for you if you hang around for a little while.
Gigs bigger. Just to let you know that we were accused the other day of being a Man United channel. We were spending so much time talking about who you need to get rid of, what players need to get off their wage books, you need to get rid of your goalkeeper, need to get rid of Højlund, right? Bring in and get rid of Garnacho, get rid of Anthony. We went through the whole gambit. You're welcome to start. Hang
around and see if you like us, mate. But appreciate you stopping by. Quick super chat, mate, and then we're going to get into the next transfer news stories for everybody. Craig Fenner, thank you, mate, for the super chat. He says, Sean, I just watched your video on loopholes. That must be from yesterday. Why the hell don't we take advantage of this? So frustrating. I'm from sunny Harwich. Harwich, is that? Harwich? I'm not sure how you say it. I'm not sure what that is. Harwich, I think. Thank you, Craig. Why don't we take advantage of it? Well, look, at the moment, we don't really need to take advantage in terms of Tottenham. Tottenham don't really need to take advantage of we've got so much wiggle room. If you had the ambition of the owners to just spend the money and then reinvest it by diluting shareholders and all the things that are open to us, then we could. We just don't have the owners who have the ambition or the intention to fund the projects that they want to fund. When you have the hotel built, then you can obviously sell it to yourself and loan it back. Tottenham already could, if they wanted to, sell the women's team, sell the stadium, sell the, to third-party companies that they already directly own and then loan them back if they want it, but they don't need to do it. It's not the same thing. Chelsea need to do it in order to get themselves out of the overspend in which they have participated in. Aston Villa will need to do it with their women's team. West Ham are likely going to do the same thing with their women's team. That's become the new...
What about Man U, Sean? What about... Yeah. I mean, like, if any club right now, Ratcliffe's saying they have financial constraints that, they got to watch everything, right? Yeah, they're going out and spending potentially 120 million on Cunha and Mbeumo. Could they go and do it now?
Yeah, but they've got exactly the same... But they have exactly the same ownership issues as we do.
Yeah, no, so but what I was going to say was, if another club, because normally what happens is Chelsea break the rules, and then the Premier League, after they've broken the rules for 2-3 years, they nip in and try and close the loophole so everyone else can't do it. If a club like Manchester United or Liverpool, say, for example, did that and sold it, would they suddenly, the EPL or the governance, come in and start closing these loopholes, stopping other people who haven't exploited that loophole yet from doing it?
No, so it's, first of all, at the moment, the absence of a football regulator allows the Premier League owners to get together and decide their own fate. And obviously there isn't enough appetite to close. They had the chance 3 weeks ago and they chose not to, right? And I've said this before, not to bore everybody, but if you want to get a rule amendment to the ownership and the financial fair play things, you have to have 14 votes in favour. In the past, things have been passed by 15 votes with five people voting against, four actually voting against, and one abstaining. But an abstention rather, is the equivalent of a rejection of a vote, because you need 15 in favour to make the change. But when it came to the last vote around closing the loopholes on third-party ownership of hotels and selling and all that stuff, there was no appetite for it. They didn't even get anywhere close to 15 people, so they didn't even put it to a vote. The difference with Manchester United, yes, they can do that stuff, just like Tottenham can do that stuff. Two things are different. Tottenham and Man United have got a lot of debt on their books already. Man United have got double the amount of debt that Tottenham have. Manchester United already participate in clever accounting in as much as they have the bulk of Manchester United's actual financial circus being represented on the New York, overseas, because they're on the New York Stock Exchange, and the version of it that's on for the Premier League rules, which allows them to spend what they spent on Cunha, to spend what they're about to spend on Mbeumo, even absent selling players. They have a different version. I think it's called Red Devils PLC or something, which is where the Premier League auditors are looking at for their version of FFP. For UEFA, Manchester United might be, if they were playing in Europe, they're not playing in Europe, but if they were, they might also be in trouble like Villa and Chelsea are, because...
What would the fine be, Sean?
That's the whole point. That's what I said yesterday. It's
a waste of time, mate. It's a waste of time. It's like, the French league keep fining every year. They fine PSG for breaking all the rules. They go, yeah, here's some money.
Barcelona broke the rules 2 years ago, and they broke it massively. And it was the second time I think they broke it in the last 6 years. For UEFA, they got a €300,000 fine. Chelsea got a fine of 8 million quid. I think it was in 2023, when Todd Bowley first rocked up. They went and basically said, look, here's, it wasn't us, but it was our previous owners. We're coming clean. And they got an £8 million fine for things that were never fully investigated from the Abramovich region. But the problem is that if you're going to be able to cheat, I mean cheat, I'm not going to... caution my words here. If you're going to cheat to the point where you overspend to create a squad that is then capable of qualifying for Europe, and then through a proxy of qualifying for Europe, you are then held accountable by the UEFA rules that are different to the Premier League rules. You fall foul of those, and the punishment is a few $100,000 or a couple of million quid. But the benefit of the cheat of getting you into Europe is that you make 100 million quid or 100 million quid. And in the case of Chelsea, by the way, qualified for the Club World Cup by their success a few years ago because of their brand that was created as a consequence of their cheating, and they've made £35 million by beating a couple of teams from South Africa and fucking New Zealand or wherever it is, and they get into the last stage of the Club World Cup. It's the equivalent of seeing a Bentley across the road and stealing it, knowing that if you steal it and get away with it, you get to keep your car. If you get caught by the police, you will only have to pay the punishment of a slap on the wrist, and you still get to keep the car anyway. It's a joke. Like, if you can't adhere to the rules, the minimum responsibility is that you sacrifice your involvement in the competition that you are supposed to be participating in.
Well, I think
you shouldn't get to participate in something that you've cheated to access.
I mean, look, the thing is, I think, was it Inter Milan or AC Milan had to step away from the Europa League, wasn't it? Because of their breaking of all the rules. You know, you set a precedent and then you got to keep by it. Anyway, listen, guys, we could rant about that all along. Just seeing someone here from Seal Beach, California. We got guys in from Australia. We got from all over the place. Lovely to have you guys.
Big up to you, Seal Beach. Guys, let's we got another super chat. We got a gift from Tony Rodriguez. Big up, Tone, my Swedish man. How you doing, mate? Thank you very much.
That's Swedish.
Five memberships to the chat. If you are a recipient of that, then please say thank you to Tone. We're going to have to start doing phoning shows, Johnny.
Yeah, please thank Tony if you are a recipient of the membership. Please go ahead and thank him. Yeah, Tony, big up, mate. Always been a supporter. Thanks very much, mate. Really appreciate having you here.
Appreciate you, buddy.
What else have we got here, Sean?
I've got so many stories, mate. We're halfway through the hour.
Let's go.
And I haven't barely got into any of the stories here. So we start off with Brentford. How about this? Harvey Elliott wants to reunited with Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp, obviously, I think he's like the chief overseer of the Red Bull group.
Correct. RB Leipzig
and Salzburg and New York and etc. And Jurgen Klopp, first and foremost, I think he's trying to take Timo Werner to New York Red Bulls.
Yes, yeah.
But more importantly than that, let's not talk about that waste, man. Let's talk about Harvey Elliott, a player that's been linked with a few clubs around the Premier League. £40 million is the expected asking price from Liverpool for the England under-21 star. And they're trying to take him to Leipzig. Is that something that £40 million would make sense because of his English homegrown status and the quality of the player? Don't get me wrong. He's versatile. He can play in the midfield. I see him as an 8, but he can play as a 10, a right winger, do a little bit of everything. Grafter, mate. Great player. But at £40 million, are Leipzig paying an English tax that don't benefit from the fact that you're getting an English player?
Look, I'm going to quickly say this because I don't want to rant on too much about this one, but we are basically, we are the feeder. We feed Europe. Without the Premier League, right? You know, the Saudi feed us, but in general, we feed Europe. Whenever we sell to Europe, right? Whenever we buy from Europe, we have to pay hugely over the top for every single player. But when we come to sell to them, they plead abject poverty. And we hear it all the time. I'm not going to take it back to Spurs, but you hear, Christian Romero with, they haven't got the money. They haven't got the money to buy Christian Romero. Well, shut up. Go away. You paid 80 million for Alvarez. You've got the money if you need it, right? And this is what happens. They keep pleading poverty, Europe. And as soon as an English club goes into Europe, whether it be France, Germany, Italy, the price doubles or adds 30, 40% because they know we've got the money. And this is what's going on here. I can't see them paying 40 million. They'll turn around and they'll say, nah, we can't afford that. What we'll do is we'd rather pay you 25 million and we'll give you a percentage of the sell-on clause, and we'll give you that when we sell him at an inflated price back to the UK. I would be surprised if he goes to Salzburg, RB Leipzig. But mind you, there are a lot of Premier League players now going out there. But I think the way Harvey Elliott's star is right now, I would be surprised if he drops down to the German league. I say drop down because I think the level is not quite as what it is in the Premier League. That's my That's my thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, mate. Don't disagree with you at all. Listen, mate, we were talking earlier about what are the chances of anybody else apart from maybe Leeds staying up next year. I'll tell you what, Sunderland are having a real crack at it. We spoke about the player that they just signed, club record fee for £30 million. It looks like they're trying to also go and get, according to, let me get this up again. Sorry, let me get the wrong page. 1 second. Here we go. According to Fabrice Hawkins, Sunderland have made an inquiry to sign Matteo Guendouzi, ex-Arsenal, ex-Marseille, I think, now at Lazio.
Isn't he one of those players, Guendouzi, that you just want to...
Yeah. His place of birth is Pussy.
I mean, honestly,
called Pussy in France.
Yeah, listen, he's a good player. He's one of those niggly little buggers, right? That you love to hate. I always rated him. Funny enough, when he was at Arsenal, if I'm brutally honest, I'm surprised he went, but I think he was causing a lot of issues.
Yeah,
I think it's a great signing for them. Would he come? I'm not so sure.
I don't know, mate. Maybe with the relegation release clause added into his contract. If Sunderland just lost, obviously, Joe Bellingham to Dortmund, but with the guy that they've already signed, and then if they get this guy, that's not a bad midfield. That's a pretty strong midfield for a team that's going to have to play, low block football and try and just sort of dig it out a lot of the time next season. In the Championship, they played a little bit more flair, a little bit more kind of, the opportunity to go at it, and they did. But at the Premier League, it looks like a team that recognises what's in front of them, which is a hard season ahead, where they're going to be, sitting in deep, a bank of 5 and a bank of 4, and then going when they can. And so, in order to do that successfully, you need strong, tough, tackling, agile midfielders that can do the job defensively and then break fast when they can. And Guendouzi, I think, ticks that off pretty nicely, to be honest.
Yeah, what sort of money? What sort of money are they looking at there?
I'm just looking at Guendouzi's current valuation. His current market valuation is 32 million euros, but Lazio signed him permanently July 24 from Marseille. So I think he spent a year or two on loan from Marseille to Lazio, and I think they signed him permanently for 13 million quid. So if they could double their money on the guy, let's say 26 million euros, something like that, whatever. He had a good season.
Doesn't stay long. Look, he doesn't stay long. It seems like wherever he goes, it doesn't take long for him to piss a few people off and have to leave.
Yeah, talk about pissing off. That wasn't me who kicked him out. I don't know where he's gone. It's just me. Oh God, back to just me again. Let's find out what the next. Let's see what the next story is. This is a big one. Victor Boneface. Where's my story? Here we go. Let's bring it up, shall we? Boneface is a leading target for Al Nassr, with John Duran in line for a departure. He's back. What happened there, Johnny? Where'd you go?
I don't know. I obviously took Guendouzi's name in vain, and someone above struck me down.
How dare you talk about Guendouzi like that?
How dare you? And the alarm said, "Loudy, loudy, loudy," bang, and I was gone.
Where are your manners? Victor Boneface, mate, is a leading target for Al Nassr. So this is one of the guys. This is one of the strikers that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago about the striker merry-go-round. That everybody there's a hell of a lot of talent in the striker pool, and there's not that many teams in European football that have got the cash to be able to pay it. But when we were saying this, or at least when I was saying this on Spurs Talk Show, I forgot about Saudi. Run. Never, ever forget about Saudi. And Victor Boneface, I'd be very surprised if he wants to go there this soon in his career, but he's a cracking player, mate. And
how many times, Sean, with Victor Boneface have we said he's coming to the Premier League? It's only a matter of time. But, some of these, right now, Victor Osimhen, why is no one, because he's an absolute beast, right? Forget all your others, right? Gyökeres, if I was taking Sesko or Victor Osimhen, I'm taking Victor Osimhen all day long. The problem is it up in here? Is it the trouble that he brings potentially? Has he got a reputation within football? Because I can't understand why no big club's gone for him. You can pick him up now for 70 million euros. He was 100 million euros before he fell out with Napoli.
Yep.
And now, you know, they've sold off a few of their players. But listen, I think Victor Osimhen is the best of them available. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Gyökeres, don't get me wrong.
Victor? He's the top Victor, is he? You got Victor Boneface, you got Victor Osimhen, you got Victor Gyökeres.
Yeah, but for me, Victor Osimhen, he's a beast. As I said before, his stats win 63% of his aerial duels, right? I mean, he's a monster. He's an aerial monster. He's a monster full stop. And I don't know how much of the racism charges he made against the Italian fans and what was going on out there. They just pushed him out the door. They didn't want a troublemaker. I don't know. But he went out to Turkey, absolutely smashed it out there. Someone needs to bring him back into the Premier League because there is a top talent. Just need to, you know, get him under control. Yeah,
100%. Another story for you, mate. We can't ever forget about Wolves either. Never forget about Saudi. Never forget about Wolves. Wolves are interested in Yunus Musa, who could leave AC Milan for between 20 and 25 million quid. Nottingham Forest also keen. When Forest are keen, you know there's a good player there. And I took a look at. I saw this link. I mean, this link says 2 hours ago, but I saw a link on. I forget where it was.
So many links.
So many links. But I saw it last night. I wasn't too familiar with the guy. Went and checked him out on Y Scout and looked at his FB refs. I've actually got his FB refs in front. He's a really nice little midfielder. He's very, very. I've got the stream up. I've got the stream up. Here we go. He's very, very tidy as an all rounder. Right, he can play a little bit. He's a bit of a defensive midfielder. Certainly more of an 8, but can also sit out on the right hand side of like a 4 or bank of 4 in the midfield. He likes to take players on when he gets the opportunity to. He's a good carrier of the ball. Doesn't do much in the way of output. He's not going to score too many goals or whatever. But as a player that I think is, you know, a horses for courses argument, mate. I think he suits a certain type of team that's probably mid-table, that you need a little bit of like that has ambitions to maybe push up, but doesn't have the threat of relegation. And I personally think that that this guy is it's a really interesting opportunity for Forest. And look, we know at all Wolves, it just looks like Wolves are top, front, and centre, but Nottingham Forest, mate. When Nottingham Forest seem to be interested in a player, you want to pay attention because Forest over the last 18 months, Johnny?
Oh, yeah.
Got a 90% hit rate, haven't they, mate?
Yeah, their recruitment's been absolutely superb. You know, from, you know, Murillo to, you know, the other defenders, Milenkovic. There's been so many good players from there. They just bought these two rising talents out of Botafogo, Igor Jesus and Cunha, who've done very, very well. Mm-hmm. And they're looking at others. Edu was recruited, obviously, by the owner because, you know, he knows he's top drawer and he's already delivering in the 2 transfer windows so far that he's been at the club. And I think it will definitely carry on. And this would be a good one. I think Wolves will nip ahead of them in this particular one, though, because they have quite a strong midfield as it stands. And I think they might use their money elsewhere. I think they still could lose a couple, Forest. So we'll wait and see on that one. Just bring you some quick update on. Sorry, I'm just going to say a quick update
before you change the topic, if you don't mind, just quickly. Are you going to change the topic, or are you going to? Is it about Forest? Because if it's about Forest, I'd love to just ask you a quick question.
No, go on. You carry on.
It's about Forest quickly. Do you think that they will be able to keep hold of Elanga for the next season? Because for me, he was so crucial. Him and Morgan Gibbs-White. Not just like that team wasn't built around those two, but their ability to break with pace and do what Nuno does so sensationally well. Can Nottingham Forest keep hold of Elanga? Which I'd make the argument that Elanga is almost more important than Morgan Gibbs-White in that ability to break.
I was actually amazed that Man United sold Elanga. To be honest with you, Sweden's producing some fantastic players. I'm a big fan of Elanga, and as we know, Newcastle have come in with a bid that's been given short shrift by Forest, and I don't blame them. I think he's a crucial member of their team. What I expect Nottingham Forest to go ahead and win the Conference League, European Conference League this season, and it's such a poor league that they could rest players and still have a very good run in the Premier League this season. Unlike, your likes of, the six teams that are now in the Premier League, in the Champions League, who are going to struggle somewhat to do that balancing act between the Champions League and the Premier League and be competitive throughout. As we saw with Liverpool, smashed the opening of the Champions League and then went out, obviously, to a very good team. But still,
I genuinely think that English teams could do a clean sweep of Europe next season. I think Villa are going to potentially, and from what I've seen, I'm not writing off Europe, by the way, because I think that Europe is obviously, there's always threats and it's Europe. But I think the Villa should be, if they can keep most of their team together, and if not, if Palace can, I think both of those teams have got a decent shout to go deeper in the Europa League. I agree with you about Nottingham Forest in the Conference League, and if Liverpool click, if Liverpool's new targets click, new transfers click, I think they've got a really good crack at the Champions League. I think there could be a British clean sweep in Europe.
No, it could be. Could easy. Sam, come on, let's be honest. Elanga couldn't take United to the next level. But what I will tell you is, had Elanga been part of your squad for the season just gone, I think your performances would have been far better because he opens teams up. He creates space and, he's proved it. He's proved it. Anyway, he's gone. That ship has sailed. And I'm sure, Mbeumo will fill that hole very quickly. Just quickly on Bryan Mbeumo. Bryan Mbeumo could be Manchester United player at the end of next week as United enter a new financial year when the PSR resets on June 30th, which will allow the winger's fee to be included in the club's accounts for next season, thus making the bid more palatable to Manchester United. So I think, that's what's going to happen. But Brentford don't give a damn, right? It doesn't matter if you're this year or next year, you're still going to have to pay what we want for him. And I think they will because they'll not have a choice. I mean, there's rumours that Man United will look at other targets. I don't see them looking at any other targets. If you're in the chat, guys, please hit that like button. Please.
Yeah, there's 600 people here, guys. It's wild numbers. It's wild numbers. Absolutely insane. Can't be more grateful to you guys.
Button helps us, helps the channel grow, and it helps the algorithm. Really appreciate your like game's been strong. For
I'm just going to make a couple of the people that have been here from day one, Johnny. I hope you don't mind me doing this, but I'm going to executive decision. I'm going to make Sam, who's a United fan, moderator. And I'm also going to give El Dante moderator priv because he's a sensational mod on my channel who keeps the troublemakers in check.
Where's Foxy when you need him?
Yeah, I'll make Foxy one as well. He's not here today, but listen, the chat is flying, so we haven't had to worry about that stuff. But just going to make some mods that show some loyalty to the people that have been here from the get go. And use your power with responsibility, with great responsibility, people. Yeah. Roy Viken, absolutely, you're a legend, mate. You can be a mod as well, mate. I've known you for a long, long time, my man. There you go, buddy. Mate, let's. Was that the story you wanted to bring to our attention, Johnny? Before I asked you,
it just is the one that's just sort of come through that it looks likely that the fact that United's accounts end on June the 30th. We'll push that one into the next year, and Cunha's will go on this year's accounts.
Want to get this one on to the screen as well. Joao Felix, mate. What is the future for this man? AC Man have confirmed that Joao Felix has returned to Chelsea following his loan spell. He's been out on loan a hell of a lot. Chelsea paid a lot of money for him. Benfica received a ridiculous amount of money for him when he was a baby. He's still relatively young, this guy, but he's had money changing hand for this guy. Doesn't seem to ever find a happy home.
No.
Is he a troublemaker? Is he just not as good as the money that's required to pay for his services? What's the issue with Joao Felix in your mind, Johnny?
It's another one. Look, talent is great. He's got a God-given talent, but it's got to be accompanied by application and dedication. And, when you look, I don't want to keep going on about Eze, but Eze has application, dedication. He's a brand ambassador's dream. and certain players, they lose the weight. Look at Jadon Sancho. There's lots of players like this. I mean, what did he go to Atletico Madrid for? Was it 130 million, 140 million or something ridiculous? I can't remember now. Some ridiculous fee he went to Atletico Madrid for. And he's been a nomad ever since, right? Club to club to club. And no one ever keeps him. I mean, I think it's the point that he started on such a huge salary that no one can really afford to pay him. I mean, how old is he now, Sean?
Joao Felix, let's have a look. He's not that. I feel like I've known him for about 100 years. But let's have a look. He is 25 years old.
25. Unbelievable.
I wonder where he's going to go next. Let us know in the chat if you're a Chelsea fan, or if you're more familiar with him. Then obviously Johnny and I are Tottenham fans. Let us know what your where you see him going in the next 12 months.
I just don't think it's a huge wage, and a guy. Look, when you look at it, you look at him and you think, well, why is he not full? If I'm a manager, I thought, yeah, it's great talent, but he didn't work here, he didn't work there, he didn't work there. It's a huge wage. I don't need the aggravation. Let him go elsewhere. I mean, AC Milan had a crap season, a shit season, yeah. And he couldn't do it there. So I think it's going to be a hard sell. He's the type of player you can see ending up playing in Saudi.
Yeah.
Even though he's got a great talent.
I actually agree with you. Yeah. 100%.
Well, 100%. If you're in there, guys,
this one is wild. This Joao Pedro story from Brighton. £50 million bid was rejected from Newcastle. But it looks like there's a bidding war that's going to emerge. TalkSport this morning, I was taking the dog for a walk, and Bugsy was furious at me because I let her out. She was expecting the first ball launch, but I was listening to TalkSport talking about Joao Pedro in the car, and it seems like Chelsea are interested in him. Newcastle are interested in him. A third Premier League team that I can't recall off the top of my head are not just interested, like are in talks, like are working it through their accounts or whatever, and two teams in Europe are also looking at him. Joao Pedro might end up going, if there's a bidding war here, for something close to 65 million quid. Is he in the same ballpark at 65 million pound as apparently Sesko and Gyökeres and Semenyo and Mbeumo? Is he there yet, Johnny? I don't think he's there yet, is he, mate?
No, I don't think so. There's some crazy valuations going on with the clubs now. I'm a big fan of Joao Pedro. I was told about him before he actually even got to Watford, to be honest with you. I was given a heads up on him. And I actually wanted him to come to Spurs. He's more than a striker. He's got a lot more about his game. But he's worth. Look, they do not need to sell him unless they pay the money that Brighton want, and Brighton always get what they want. Otherwise, don't bother. And that number is going to be 60, 65 million. Pay it up or jog on. And I don't blame Brighton. You want to keep coming and picking out our best players, you got to pay the money. And Newcastle don't want to hear any sort of hard luck stories. You've got a good squad. You've got a very good squad, and you're going to be in the Champions League. You're going to have some money to spend, and you've got Isak, right? If you're worried about it, sell Isak and then go and buy Joao Pedro.
100%, mate. Listen, I don't think he's anywhere near. I like him. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I'm not even sure how many goals he scored last year, but in the interest of time, I want to move on with the story because I know you've only. How much time have you got, Johnny, on your side here, mate?
Another 10.
Another 10 max. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll part the Joao Pedro story. We can come back to tomorrow. But my take on it right now is that when you look at the market forces that are dictating, why it is that Arsenal can't shit or get off the pot on two of the, it seems like both players want to go, to Arsenal potentially. Maybe Man United have got a sniff of Gyökeres, but Sesko seems to be solely focused on them, but they're not willing to pay whatever the asking price is, which isn't much more than 65, 70 million quid, something like that. Joao Pedro, the only thing in the favour of him over the other two is Premier League experience. But I don't think I'm not wrong in thinking here that Pedro hasn't got anywhere near 20 goals for Brighton, has he?
No, I mean he's very good at penalties. I mean that seems to be where he's got quite a few of his goals. Look, he's a good player, right? I'm not going to disrespect him as a player. I think he's a good player. I really do. I just think that
you're playing the kind of, if the house across the street sells for 500 grand,
he's still a young player.
You got to sit there and kind of go, well, on that basis, am I overvaluing my own or undervaluing my own? Right?
Still a young player, and he's still growing and he's still improving. And I believe there's a player in there. The question I would have, he's had quite a few little niggly injuries. So Gaz, the best double act since Morton and Wise.
Appreciate that one, mate. Appreciate that. Very good. Very good. Like that. There's another one for us, mate. Another one to talk about for a second. This comes back to Aston Villa. Again, if you're a Villa fan, let us know. Where's my screen? How do I bring this up? Here we go. Villa are turning their attention to the French market, mate. They're looking at Neil Ayanawi, I think his name is. Lens midfielder. I think he played under... Did he play under Will Still? Was Will Still at Lens? I think he might have been.
I think he was.
And look, Juventus going after him as well. It tells like you don't have to be rocket scientists here to connect the dots, right? Jacob Ramsey needs to be left because it's 40 million quid in pure profit on the books of Aston Villa to get themselves out of a jam. Juventus
in this guy for a lot.
They're going to bring in this guy for probably like 60% of what he would be in a different market if French football wasn't under the financial. A lot of people turn their attention to French. We said this a few days ago, didn't we? Like this summer, there's going to be a absolute pillaging of talent out of the French pool because of what's going on over there. But at the same time, there's another name on that list by Calcio Mercato, Juventus. Juventus have a guy that they clearly don't want in Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
Is there a chance here that Douglas Luiz, who was sold, how much did Aston Villa sell him for? 55 million, was it?
50 million, to Juventus, yeah.
They go, I'll tell you what, we'll step out the way. We'll let you get Al-Yanui, and then we'll give an old friend a call and say, do you want to come back to Villa? 20 million quid. If they could sell Jacob Ramsey for 40 pure profit, which can be spun into amortized spend of 130, 140 million quid, and then go and get their old boy back, who they didn't want to sell in the first place, who was an absolute monster in their team. Listen, I would take Douglas Luiz at my club all day, every day, and twice on a Champions League night. He's sensational, but is there a little story there that we could see emerging, mate? That maybe
listen, we said that they needed that, and the other one is John Duran, who, let's be honest, was he ever worth 75 million? Right? Was he ever worth 72 million to Saudi? Absolutely not. But it got Aston Villa and his Egyptian owner mate out of jail, right? Made them make FFP and PSR. So I can see him coming back. Oh, yes, there you go. There's Imandis. Yeah, he agrees. And Douglas Luiz, potentially the same. Douglas Luiz, you could probably pick up, as I said, for about 25, 30 million pounds. Prem proven, absolute monster six. I think any club in the Premier League, including us, Spurs, would take him. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Villa fans would take him back.
Didn't see this one. Did you see this one? Come of the conversation, come of the link.
Oh,
there you go. Leeds United have opened preliminary talks with Juventus midfielder Danny Luiz.
Come on, man. Come on.
What are we doing here? I didn't see this. I hadn't seen this.
One of us needs to call up Douglas and get into a better club. No disrespect, Leeds fans. I mean, listen. Big up to Leeds. Listen, they're a huge club. Let's not make any bones about it. They're a huge club, and they get.
Let me ask you a question, Johnny. Let me ask you a question. Who were the three teams that came up 2 years ago? Burnley with Vincent Kompany, right? Was it Sheffield United?
Sheffield United, yeah, wasn't it? Was it Sheffield?
And 2 years ago, was it Forest or was Forest the year before? I forget. But Do you remember Burnley making any kind of statement signings that really made you go, oh, okay, they've got intentions here? Was there a little bit of a kind of acceptance of the fate?
I think a lot of
the
these
teams
clubs
that come up go down, and so we'll take the money, but it will help us out. It will go back down again with the balloon payments. And
the only club I remember spending big mental money when they came up, and it
Forest,
went
right?
that again absolutely peaked on was Fulham. Do you remember where they spent massive money and then went straight back down?
Oh, sorry. So spending money ain't going wrong. But when Forest came up, they put they only had 8 first-time full-time.
That duo that they bought in for scouting, right? They just bought up any player their mates had. I mean, it was long. It was
Fulham.
But no, I'm talking about Forest. The first
but Forest only came up with 8 because everyone else was on loan. And then they bought in like 21 players.
That's what I'm saying. That lot.
Yeah, that lot wasn't sensational, but it kept them up. And then the next summer there was like this huge transition again, and it just went push with Nuno. And I'm just saying that this summer maybe we've gone too soon, Johnny. Most people are saying the 3 teams that go up go down. We're at least saying maybe Leeds have got a chance. Certainly got a chance if they bring back Douglas Luiz, but Sunderland also seem to be making smart decisions around recognizing what it is that they're going to be facing and adapting their squad towards a reality of digging in for most of the games.
I don't think they're strong enough. I really don't. I don't think their game was strong enough really for the Championship. It was okay, came up the way they came up, but for me, Leeds are definitely different. Definitely different. You know, Ipswich spent money on Amari Hutchinson and Delap and the rest. And there's a player, by the way, Amari Hutchinson. I really, really liked him. They paid 25 million for him from Chelsea. Really good little player, and he's proven it in the under-21s. Don't forget to support England today in that final against Germany, our old enemy.
What time is that on?
8 o'clock tonight. Okay. Let's hope we can bring that one home. Look, I only remember Fulham and Ipswich spending the money and going down. I think there's a balance between the two. Was this?
Arsenal fans will be in tasty meltdown sessions if this happens, mate. Arsenal. Listen, when Nicholas Jackson came over from Spain, I remember I was on Saeed's channel at the time. I was doing a weekly show with Saeed. And other fans, and I remember saying Nicholas Jackson's a baller, and there was a guy whose name escapes me who was like, "Oh, you know, are you familiar with him?" I was like, "Not that much, but I run him through the Y Scouts hall because I fancied him at Tottenham." Then he came in, and he stunk the place out for the first like 6 months. Yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh, you know, Sean, you said Nicholas Jackson's a baller. Your talent ID is shit." Then he's kicked into gear a little bit. But there's still levels to the game, mate. If Arsenal end up with Nicholas Jackson when they could have had Sesko, like there's North London fans, doesn't matter if you're Tottenham or Arsenal, nothing like a good old-fashioned meltdown. They will melt down if if Arsenal pivot towards Nicholas Jackson, won't they? He's a good player, mate, but he's not what Arsenal need, is he?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's one of those players that infuriates you because he gets in the position. He just has a head rush, you know.
I think he'd be brilliant at a team like Forest, mate. A team like Wolves, a team that play that counter-attacking football, dig in and get out of trouble, and then break. When he was doing that, was it a Villarreal or Valencia or Seville? He's one of those 3 teams. I forget where he was before he came. I think it was Valencia. I'm going to say, maybe I'm wrong, but before he came. That's when I watched him on the Y Scout tool. His best bits, all of them, were on the counter. 5-4-1. They break, they get the ball back, they break, and he just bombs down the side.
He's a great look. He gets in the position like Darwin Núñez, but you have to be calm and put the ball in. And listen, I'm telling you now, right? I was a huge fan of Brentford and Mbeumo 3 years ago, and I was saying to my mate, "Oh, you know, he's a fantastic player." No. He's a great player. He's got fantastic potential. But he snatches at chances in front of goal. He needs to be more composed. And Thomas Franks worked on him. And now we see the upshot of that, right? And that's what you need. Amari Hutchinson, by the way, I think he's a great player. And as he said, he has a buyout clause for the end of the season. Shawnee, I'm reaching that stage. We'll have another show tomorrow, guys. If you're still in here at the moment and you haven't hit that like button, guys, please hit that like button. It really helps us. It might seem a small thing. It's just that thumbs up button, and that really helps us. Oh, there you go. The thumbs up's just come up on the screen.
Yeah, massive thank you, guys. There's been 600 people in here. It's 575 currently.
Oh, don't know what's happened there. Shawnee's disappeared. The show.
Sorry about
that. And he's back.
We're 1-1.
The Gremlins are in.
Well, it's 1-1, score draw on leaving the show early. Guys, we're going to leave it there. Johnny's got to go. Thanks so much for stopping by. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, drop a comment. Let us know where you're from, who you support. We'll see you tomorrow about the same time, somewhere in the afternoon. And thank you very much to Andy for becoming a new member, to Tony for donating 5 memberships, to Craig and to Blaine. And appreciate the mods for being moderately modest in their moderation behavior. With great power becomes and requires great responsibility. So play your cards right, guys. We'll add some more mods as we grow. Thank you very, very much, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow. And thanks again for all of your cool support so far.
Thank you.
It's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him. I got it right.
You almost got it right. Tomorrow we'll get it right. Ciao.
Have a good one, guys.